Shattered promises. I'm sitting on my couch in my new apartment, thousands of miles from the life I left behind, but the ghosts of my past cling to me like damp fog. It's been 6 months since Daniel, my ex, tore our 2-year relationship apart for his intern, a girl he'd known for barely 2 months. My hands tremble as I scroll through my phone, landing on a photo of us from better days, smiling in a Parisian cafe, my heart so full I thought it might burst. Now that memory a lie, tainted by his betrayal, his careless cruelty, and the sound of her moans echoing through the walls of the home we once shared. I loved him with everything I had, gave up my world to be with him, and he discarded me like I was nothing. The pain is a constant ache, but beneath it, a spark of anger flickers, anger that whispers of revenge, of making him see what he lost, even if I know it won't mend the pieces of my shattered soul. We met when I was studying abroad in his city, a whirlwind romance that felt like fate. I was 26, a grad student soaking up every moment of my semester in Europe. Daniel, 28, was a charming marketing consultant with a crooked grin and eyes that made me feel like the only person in the room. We fell hard, fast. Late-night walks along cobblestone streets, stolen kisses in hidden courtyards, promises of a future together. When my program ended, I went back home, but my heart stayed with him. We kept it alive through video calls and endless texts, counting down the days until I could return. I did, moving across continents just to be with him, leaving behind my family, my friends, my whole life to build one with him. It was a leap of faith, one I thought we'd take together. But there were cracks, even early on. A year into our relationship, Daniel confessed something that shook me to my core. While I was back home for a month, he'd gone to a strip club, not once, but 2 or 3 times, and got a lap dance. He told me a year later, his voice heavy with guilt, swearing it was a mistake, that he regretted it. I was devastated, the image of him with someone else burning into my mind. We broke up, my trust in tatters, but he begged me to take him back, promising he'd never hurt me again. I spent weeks agonizing, weighing my love for him against the betrayal. In the end, I forgave him, believing his remorse, believing we could rebuild. I was wrong. 6 months ago, everything unraveled. Daniel had started a new project at work, managing a team that included a new intern, Mia. She was 24, bright-eyed, and as I later learned, fully aware of our relationship. She had a boyfriend, too, but that didn't stop her from crossing lines with Daniel. He told me they'd grown close, sharing late-night drinks at the office while I was away on a solo trip to clear my head after a stressful semester. He swore it was just emotional, that they'd almost kissed, but he'd pulled back. I stopped it, he said, as if that made him noble. But then Mia broke up with her boyfriend and told Daniel to do the same. And he did. The next day, he ended our 2-year relationship, his voice cold, like he'd already checked out. I need to figure myself out, he said. But I knew the truth. He'd chosen her. The betrayal was bad enough, but what followed was inhumane. We were still living together, splitting rent on separate rooms while I finished my grad program. I begged him not to bring Mia to our apartment, not so soon after our breakup. It was too raw, too cruel. But 3 days after he ended things, I heard her voice in his room, her laughter cutting through the thin walls like a knife. Worse, I heard him compare our bodies, mine to hers, in a flippant, careless way that made my skin crawl. I confronted him the next day, my voice shaking with rage and hurt. "It's disrespectful," I said. "You're breaking me." He shrugged, promising to be more mindful. But that night, she was back, and her moans, deliberately loud, I was sure, echoed through the apartment. I sat in my room, tears streaming down my face, my heart shattering with every sound. It got worse. My mom came to visit for my graduation, a moment that was supposed to be mine, a celebration of everything I'd worked for. I pleaded with Daniel not to bring Mia over while my mom was there. He promised he wouldn't, but he lied. I heard them again, laughing, moaning, their happiness a mockery of my pain. I felt like a ghost in my own home, invisible, unwanted. How I wish I could go back and hold myself. Tell that broken girl she was enough. Their first date, I later learned, was spent doing shrooms together, giggling like teenagers while I was packing my life into boxes, preparing to leave the country I'd moved to for him. I left without telling him, slipping out of the apartment and the country as soon as my graduation was over. We paid separately for our rooms, so there was no need for a goodbye. He hasn't reached out since, not a single text to apologise, to ask how I'm doing, to acknowledge the wreckage he left behind. The silence is deafening, but it's not the worst part. The worst is knowing Mia got a full-time job at his company, thriving in the life I thought was mine, while I'm starting over from scratch. It feels so unfair, like she won, like they both did, but there's a small light in the darkness. Daniel's mom reached out to me, her message a balm to my wounded heart. She apologised for her son's atrocities, her words, and called Mia a zero-character girl. She told me Daniel had lost an angel, that Mia would never be welcome in their home. It was a small victory, but it meant the world to know someone saw my worth, even if he didn't. Still, the pain lingers, and with it a dark whisper of revenge. Not the kind where I'd do something reckless, like keying his car or spreading gossip. No, I want something sharper, something that make him feel the weight of his betrayal. I imagine sending him an email, not emotional but cold, precise, laying out every way he broke me, every promise he shattered. I'd CC Mia, let her see the man she's with, the one who discards people like trash. Or maybe I'd post a subtle story online, fictionalized just enough, about trades love for a fleeting thrill, a spark that fades fast. What I need is to reclaim my power, to prove I'm more than the wreckage he left behind. I close my laptop, a faint smile tugging at my lips. Daniel may never know the depth of my pain, but he'll never know the height of my comeback either. Healing won't be quick. Trust is fragile, and Daniel's betrayal has left cracks on top of the ones from my past. The thought of dating again feels like an impossible climb, the idea of opening my heart a risk I'm not ready to take. But as I look around my new apartment, the books I've started reading again, the plants I've kept alive despite my chaos, I see proof of my resilience. I survived Daniel's betrayal. I'll survive this. One day, I'll write a new story. One where love doesn't end in silence, where my heart isn't a casualty. For now, I'll focus on myself. I'll call my friend Sarah, let her drag me to a coffee shop or a movie. Something to remind me I'm not alone. I'll keep writing, keep studying, keep growing. And if a part of me still imagines Daniel reading my story someday, realising what he lost, feeling the sting of his own broken promise, well, that's just human. I'm not perfect, and I don't need to be. I'm Elena, and I'm enough.